Hey guys, so you guys get to see my work area. It's not, excuse it, it looks like a mess, but this is how I have it. I don't really have a place to put the things, my pots and stuff. So you guys get to see I have my tomato there ripening under the sun. But welcome to the new series that I mentioned, and it's African art and history. Being that I'm passionate about the arts and I've been involved in the arts for a big chunk of my life, I thought, let me, speak about the African history behind it and the parallels. So we're going to talk about the Colchis and Abkhazia. And first, I'm going to show you a character dance that I learned when I used to train. And then we'll get into the parallels. But let me tell you, I'm recovering from I can't talk. I'm recovering from an injury, so when I usually do this, the knees go high, okay? But today, plus I got jeans on, so so I'm going to show you the dance now. Okay, so I'm out of shape, so don't judge me. So usually I would be on the ground. So on the ground you finish and you end like this. But I didn't. I'm out of shape, yo. This little period right now, I'm out of shape. I'll be getting back in shape soon. Okay. But being that I didn't have my character shoes, that you can't really hear the sound, but it's a polka style dance, and I'm gonna give you the parallels that are tied into that when it comes to African history. All right, so first we're gonna get into the Colchis. All right, so the Colchis is modern day. Let me move the camera a bit. You're like, whew. Okay, so the Colchis is modern day Georgia. All right. Being that I can't remember everything I wrote when I researched, I'm gonna refer to my notes. So, it's modern day Georgia. All right. So the Colchis and Abkhazia are the same thing. And Kaj means Kush. And specifically, so Georgia is Eastern Europe, and like the specific area, so today it's called Sukhumi, but prior it was the Colchis Abkhazia. It's the western coast of the nation, east of the Black Sea, in between Turkey and the Ukraine, surrounding Armenia, before getting to Central Asia. All right, so Georgia is a former USSR country, so it was a part of the Soviet Union. All right, now we're gonna get into the parallels. All right, So, well, first, let's talk about the fact. So, what I just did was more of a polka style. It's polka, but I couldn't. When I actually filmed the video of me dancing in Battery Park, but I didn't get the footage from that person. So, but it was a whole project that was undergoing with that, but I didn't get the footage. So, you know, I filmed it today, but yeah, so what was I about to say? Oh, polka. So polka is that style that I just did. So it's all right, so it's upbeat. I couldn't find, when I was listening to the polka music for actually when I filmed it, I couldn't find the right polka beat. It wasn't enough of the down beat and then the up. So that was quite hard for me to find. So I probably won't have any music behind with the clip as far as me dancing. I probably won't have any music with that, but that's polka. And that is Eastern European, Ukrainian, and Russian. All right. Now into the Colchis. Herodotus visited the Colchis 500 BC. So Herodotus was a Greek writer, and when he passed through, he said there were black-skinned, woolly-haired people. All right. So, and he passed through River Phasis, which is South Russia. All right. All right, and there's also several different sources that, and several different people such as John Gunther, who also noticed a small community of black people in Colchis, Abkhazia. All right, and now in several different sources, like, so how did the people of the Colchis get there? And well, I'll get into it now. So how did they get there? So they traveled with the Egyptians, and some settled there, some stayed there. That's what has been recorded in several sources, is that they stayed there. All right, now also another source had mentioned that, you know, the small community that was there in Abkhazia, when it was Abkhazia, that I'll have some pictures as well, that, you know, people try to, when I did my research, I very much looked at different sources and I feel information. So along with analysis, I feel information and I go on discernment as far as, like, because, you know, some people, they want to control the narrative, right? And they want to twist the story and say that we were brought there, but actually there was an exporting of slavery that the Turkish was involved in from Abkhazia. So they took people, the black people from Abkhazia, and were exporting them. So yeah, and my thinking process with this, being that this is like modern day Georgia is a former USSR country, and being that blacks were present in Russia during the 1700s, during Alexander the Great and Elizabeth of Russia, Peter the Great, Peter the Great and Elizabeth, they were there for a number of reasons, as far as like for entertainment and music and performances, as well as serving. There was also one person, I can't remember his name, but he was mixed, and he was like the first person to sit in their courts. That was like a head of a court or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I was thinking, you know, and when I look back and did my research as far as like what I'm getting to as far as like on the continent, I was thinking, you know, there there must have been an influence in the style in the style of music and dance that you see today there, down to the polka and everything. So when I was doing my research and I was looking at Sudan and the Baggara women, when they, you know, if it's a marriage dance or marriage circle or a prayer that is like a song, and what you'll see is, I think it's mainly for prayer or a specific time. I believe, I couldn't find exactly because it's all in Arabic, the titles and everything. So as far as when I was looking for like translations, it wasn't necessarily saying what it was, but it looked like prayer in a song and maybe something related to that time, maybe a holiday as such. So, but I think it's also a part of the marriage circles as well. So when the women, they have a circle and the women will come forward and they'll dance, and then like 3 to 4 men will come to them and they're singing too, and they're all doing this, and while the women are singing, but they are also clapping, and the style is very similar to a polka beat. I noticed it's a let me see, it's a something like that. And I noticed that's very similar to, if you listen to music that well, people say is Middle Eastern, but is really South Central Asia, some Slavic music, because Slavic is Eastern European and also Central Asia. So when you're getting it, so part of Eastern Europe and then into Central Asia, like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, that's Slavic. The area is Slavic. So, yeah. So that was a parallel I noticed. So you'll see that their music, Russian music as well, polka, it's a bit similar. So these parallels, being that we are the parents of Earth, you know, this is further proving that fact and proving the influence that we've had in culture. And, you know, even the Zulus, they just copy and they take. So these parallels very much support the fact that my prediction is that, you know, they got the style of dance and music from, you know, us in the northeastern region. But, you know, when I, you know, being that part of northeast, when I say northeast, I mean Africa. Being that northeast Africa, you know, went through Arab slavery, that's why much of the population is mixed. You see, when you look at Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Sudan, and Somalia, you know, they're mixed. They're African and Arab. So when I was doing my research, I'm feeling information, and it's telling me that it's us. We are the parents of this, and they didn't really think what they doing now, what I'm gonna tell you. So that was the first parallel, was the clapping. And also when I was looking at another group of people from Sudan, how they dance, you know, what I just did was a bended knee. So it was the style, well, the structure was bended knee. And, you know, when we did perform our character dance, it was done on hopping as well, bended knee. We did straddle jumps as well. But when I was looking at what they were doing in Sudan, it was very similar. And the guys will have the sword knives and they're hopping on bended knee. And it's very, and the style that I did was if you can get what I mean. There's a parallel there, even just down to the structure on bended knee. And if you look at Jerome Robbins, he did a documentary on the Slavic culture that he came from, being a Jewish person, Jewish person, even though they are imposters. They're imposters in a lot of ways, but he showed that culture of his, and that was bended knee and, you know, hopping, and it was very similar to what I saw being done in Sudan. And then when I also looked at Nuba Hills, so the people of Nuba Hills are the indigenous ethnic people of Sudan, and when I looked at, I'm sorry about the noise, guys. I'm sorry. When I looked at what they were doing, it's a stomping, but the structure is still bended knee, and it's still even when they're stomping, it's still that polka clap and that clap that I was with the Baggara women was still very similar, but it was stomping, but the structure was still bended knee. So I can't clap that fast as they were moving, but they were clapping pretty fast. Oh, not stomping, but stomping pretty fast. So that was the style. And all these, it's a lot of parallels. So it just further supports my prediction that they got this from us. Down to maybe when we were in Abkhazia, down to Arab slavery, and even down to when the Moors, the black people, were in Russia. Like, all that ties in. I think all that has to do with the parallels that I saw in the dance and in the beat of the music that they were creating just with their feet and their hands. So yeah, so